Okay, good afternoon. We are dealing with, I guess you would call it a slight patch note hotfix for Gears of War 5. Decided to do a couple of these videos because they give me an opportunity to effectively talk about the game and explain to the community what's going on if you're not into it. So, for the October the 7th, there's been updates, as you can see, on Flashbangs, and it'll give me an opportunity again to speak about what I want to talk about is power creep, and that will be explained, so let's just get into it. For the October the 7th update, we are looking at Flashbang tuning, EU connections, weekly hives, Nasha only, weekly supply content, and what we're working on. So let's just jump into it. Now the Flashbang changes, I'm sure you've seen, if you've watched my channel, my little review and feedback for the devs and the montages and stuff of me just been flashbanged forever. And it says it's finally time to start talking about changes. And our first call is the biggest piece of feedback we've received so far is flashbacks. Flashbacks are intended to fulfill the smoke role used in Gears 2 as a way to flush out opponents from strong defensive positions and force the fight. This is a critical part of what allows modern Gears to work, but not at the sake of a good gaming experience. Right now, when you hear we hear you loud and clear that the impact of a flashbang is too prominent, so it's time to make some changes. Flash duration from 1 second to 0.3, and the default loadout from flash to smoke. Now, straight off the bat, I've got a few points to make. It's great that they're listening, right? It's great. I do have an issue, though, with the fact that they seem to effectively only give the feedback once the patch is out. So the whole build up to the patch, it's like nothing, and then all of a sudden it gets fixed. So as a player, if you're constantly dealing with this, or whatever the next issue may arise in a game or future game, you're constantly dealing with that issue, and you're not getting anything back. So you're sat there playing thinking, are these guys actually listening? Do they know what's going on in all these games? And then all of a sudden it's fixed. But I would like a better piece of communication. Again, I refer you back to my article back in 2012 that there was a notice board, if anybody remembers, in Gears 3. There was a notice board and it told you what was up and coming, like Phoenix Rising DLC and stuff. I would like them to implement a notice board for Gears 5 that is hot fixable or able to push live updates, and it says stuff like, yeah, we've heard the news, we are looking into flashbangs, we're looking into this, and then people as they sign in think, hey, the devs are looking at things, here are some ideas, this is what we're thinking of, let us know on Twitter, etc. I think a bit clearer communication is needed. Now the second change, and the blind duration's fine, yeah. The default grenade layout means nothing because any reasonable player will be selecting their grenade anyway. So the fact the default change, all that really means is people that don't really play the game might throw a smoke instead of a flash, which, yeah, might help, but theoretically, if everybody was playing properly, that change means nothing because you would be selecting your correct grenade anyway. So, for me, this is an important statement because they say, and I think a lot of people don't understand, when they say modern Gears, I'm actually for modern Gears. I was sat thinking about this, and there is a point where you reach a point of where do you take a franchise? Where do you take a franchise? What should you do with it? What route do you want to go down? Or it becomes stale. I would say Battlefield's become fairly stale, and Battlefield is kind of similar each year. Call of Duty got kind of stale, and then they tried the whole rocket thing. Now, the thing they tried with all the jetpacks obviously was the wrong route, but they had to try something because it felt stale. When I play Gears, I think that Gears 1 is the best game they've made for a variety of reasons. It's definitely had its problems, but it was the best for a variety of reasons, which I've done a 1.5 hour long video on. If you really care, it's called a long form review. It's on my channel. Highly recommend it. But there comes a point that, let's say, in a different universe, they create Gears 1 again. They fix everything to whatever your imagination wants it to be fixed to, and they create this perfect game for you. Now, You play that perfect game for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. There becomes a point where you're going to be like, I could do with something new. And then what do you do? How do you change the genre? New guns, new maps, etc. It becomes difficult to not become stale. Now, I've got a lot of ideas of how to keep the same formula but not become stale. However, I'm not in any position to actually influence the team anymore. It's not like Gears 1 where I could Skype developers and tweet and DM people and they'd listen and I'd get feedback back and forth. It's not like that anymore. I've been out the scene too long. I'm a nobody in the scene. But let's get back on track, right? They're talking about modern Gears. Now, when they say modern Gears, what they mean is Lancer. That's what they mean. They mean team-based gameplay with Lancers, crosses, stuff like this. This is a huge thing in games now, teamwork. Very rarely is there a game out there that lets you be the star of the show. Back in my day when I played, everyone wanted to be the star, the big man of the game. Halo 3, I'm making the play. Gimme snipe. I'm four-shotting everyone. You know what I mean? Gears 1. Come on, team, die. Just spectate me. I'm about to 1v4 this, right? Everyone wanted to be the big man. Nowadays, that's even in League of Legends, it's all teamwork from Season 3, if anyone knows that reference. But yeah, it's all about teamwork. So when you have a map that enables strong teamwork, and I know I'm waffling, but it's important to get my point out. When you have a map that enables strong teamwork, rifles that enable strong teamwork, and crosses and paths that have clearly designed from a developer standpoint to be like, bro, this is where you set up, this is where you cross. There needs to be a way to break that. So the flashbang has to be in the game. That's where they've created this power creep problem, because the maps are so strong from a defensive standpoint, and because the rifles and even the shotgun itself are so strong, which I'll touch on in a second, there becomes this issue where how do you break a well-coordinated team on a proper setup? You need something to stop them, right? So flashbangs exist. You blind them, you stun them, you take them out of their defensive positions, and it gives you that 1 second window to push. Is that enough currently? I would say, yeah, I would say right now the flashbangs serve their job of stopping a push. Of stopping a setup, should I say, and they allow you to push. So we're in this situation with power creep. If you don't know what power creep means, it means stuff has to get better for it to be worth your time. Over time, let's look at Gears as a whole. You take the Gears 1 game, and your Lancer isn't that great as a soul killing tool. So when you see a torque bow or a sniper or a boom shot or something, you think, yeah, I'll trade out my Lancer for that power weapon. It's a step up in power. When you then go to Gears 2, and your Lancer's getting a lot better with stopping power, you start to think, do I want to get rid of my Lancer, which can down a lot of people in Guardian and stuff? It can take out a whole host. It can cross across the map. Do I want to drop my Lancer for a Gears 1 style boom shot? No. So things get buffed. The boom shot gets buffed. The grenades get buffed. The insins get buffed. There is a scorcher that taps people across the map and stuff like this. And it becomes this thing where there constantly has to be a ramp up of should I swap? And I think this is something that people aren't really grasping. So when we get all the way to Gears 5 and your Lancer is an absolute nuke, all of a sudden you're like, what do you want to trade that for? Well, you trade it for a Lancer GL because its Lancer that you pick up is even stronger, and it's got effective noob tube / rockets on top, and stuff like this. And there has to be this ramp up. So when we talk about power creep, we talk about flashbangs, because when you're in a defensive position of power and you're Lancering down on somebody, there is things that have to be strong enough to break that power. Flashbangs have to be strong enough to break that power, and your shotgun has to be. If somebody spins on you and starts Lancering, that Lancer is downing you in 11 bullets, rapid fire coming out, and your shotgun has to be able to deal with that. And we've seen this from an actual video. They they called it mid-range combat. They wanted the shotgun to be mid-range combat, and that is because of the power creep. When somebody spins on you with a Lancer from a position of power, all of a sudden you're face to face with them. If you've got a Gears 1 shotgun with high fall-off damage and you can't two-shot down them from distance, you're going to get Lancered down. So the shotgun has to be ramped up. So now we're in this situation where the Lancers are really, really strong, and also the shotgun has range and little fall-off damage, and you can be two-shotting people from a good distance. This means shotgun battles are negated. If shotgun battles are getting negated and it's becoming hard aim two-shot downs, most people will just step back a little bit and do that two-shot down, or step back a little bit further, open up that distance and rifle you down. Because playing with the Nasher is a bit of a gamble in Gears 5 because of the inconsistent gib range, and when we speak about that two-shot down, you're in the range of the two-shot down from quite a far distance away. So if you want to close that gap and you misjudge that gib range ever so slightly, you're going to get two-shot downed. You're not going to be able to slightly misjudge it, tank a third shot, close that gap more and kill him. You're going to be here, misjudge it, and be so red off the first shot, the next one, the player can step back and down you. So there's this dance where, because of the power creep we've seen from Gears 1 to 5, we're in this situation now where shotgun battles and setups are very odd, and you need now a tool like a Flashbang to break it. And yeah, I do waffle and I do speak in depth about this, and 90% of the viewers have gone. But I think it's important that there's somebody out there that actually puts a bit of detail in this and doesn't just read the patch notes and tries to explain some things. And maybe if you like this style, you can share it to the devs. But I feel like there's a complete misunderstanding in the game right now of what modern Gears is. They're really missing that point about the whole power creep, and the situation we're in is you can't actually remove the flashbang. This is an important thing to note. You can't remove the flashbang from the game, which is what people wanted, because if you remove the flashbang for the game, we enter into an issue with the smoke. Now the smoke grenade is now your default. When we talk about the smoke grenade, we talk about a plumage that denies vision and allows you to maybe sneak through and cap an area or move around the map without being spotted, right? But you can be spotted with the click of a thumbstick or the Q key, and all of a sudden, when you run through that smoke, you can be seen and shot throughout the smoke. So the smoke is useless, and if you're a good player, you should be spotting. So most players are going to be permanently spotted, so smoke becomes irrelevant. We've now introduced hit markers, and again, this is where we talk about power creep. We've now introduced hit markers into the game. So if you hit somebody through the smoke in Gears 1, you just kind of spray wildly through the smoke and try to do damage on him, right? In Gears 5, you can just slightly adjust left or right and follow your hit markers and be almost 100% accuracy on somebody inside smoke. And that means smokes are useless. Now, for me, what I would have done if I was a developer, I would have made smokes unable. The smoke wouldn't have been a smoke. I'd have called it an EMP plume or something, right? And when you throw it, you hit markers don't function inside it, and spotting doesn't function inside it, and it creates this like haze, and then you can run through it. That would have been my change, and see how that plays out, and give it a week or two, give it a week, collect feedback, move on, keep doing that, keep innovating, keep trying to change things. So the key thing why people hate the Flash is, and again, I'm talking for a long time because I like to be in detail. Sod it, I'm carrying on. The key thing when I'm talking about a Flash is the stun. That's what actually allows you to break it. It's not the blindingness, and it's not anything else. It is the fact that there is a stun. Now the stun duration hasn't changed, and again, this is important because actually, although people will still get pissed off with the stuns, if you can't stun them, the flash with 0.3 seconds isn't going to be enough to break a setup. So, yeah, the stun has to sadly remain. Now, you could actually add a third grenade choice in. You could have Flash, which is a very bright flash that actually flashbangs people. You could have the smoke, which I talked about, the EMP style smoke, and then you could have a a sort of stun grenade, which is a lot more accurate. You have to be a lot more accurate, and it needs to be a stun. But they've chose to put the flashbang on the stun, I guess, just for easy use, and it's not too bad. Again, it has to be in the game. So, what they have chose to do is they've chose to remove they're thinking of, they will be removing the ability to make flashes work through cover per your feedback. And I'm actually okay with that, because if you're flashing an area, you should have to be accurate, realistically, to break a setup. Again, however, this means that you're probably going to find it even tougher to break a setup, because your flashbangs are going to have to be more and more accurate. And if you're going to have to be more and more accurate, it's going to take more time to actually aim your flash. So we'll see how that works. But I'm all for having to be more accurate in a game. I think that's the whole point. And I think this change is actually fine. We'll be monitoring these changes. We'll be working on other potential gameplay changes. So again, if I was to design a flashbang, the idea would be, I think it would be, I'm not sure. I think that I was going to say something wild, like a rate of fire grenade, where you throw a grenade in and it slows your rate of fire down and blinds you, but you still have full movement. So rifles suddenly shoot at half pace, which means you might have a chance to push in. So this way, players can still push, and opponents still feel like they're doing something and not just completely out of control, which is why the flashbangs feel annoying, because if we talk about MOBA games and other games, CC, or crowd control, never feels nice to be on the end of, because you are limited, you are being stopped from what you want to do. So maybe don't give them complete loss of control through a stun. Maybe try something else, like a plume of smoke, a plume like a flash emits, and people's rate of fire gets lowered. Maybe you can make a push then, and people, I'm just spitballing some ideas, but that sounds like an okay change. Improvements to EU connections, big one, because we've all seen me bitch about connections, because it's actually unplayable. And again, I'm not going to make any excuses for them. 30 days is not acceptable to have no servers. Now, it said they pushed an update on Friday that made EU ping better. However, was it Friday I played? I played the campaign last night and finished it. And I think it was yesterday, maybe it was Saturday evening, I played a game and I had 200 ping. So that update might do something, it might not. In my experience, it hasn't done anything. So, I find that kind of annoying when they say we thank you all for our patience, because 30 days is a long time to not have the ability to play. So I'd have liked to have seen more from that. A complete fix or something, a reward for EU players or something, because 30 days of no servers in almost 2020 is ridiculous. So next we've got new Hives. If you like Hives, there's a new Hive mode with quicker movement, ultra stopping power. The Wanderer is more powerful. There's double escape character XP weekending. And how do I feel about things like this? I don't dislike the idea that double escape character XP exists, because it allows you to level up characters. But I think if we touch on this, where gaming is kind of becoming a bit annoying and where it feels like a job, is everything is becoming very grindy. And I'll loop this back to Path of Exile. There was a system where you would play the game, and let's simplify it for those that don't play Path of Exile. You'd play the game and collect juice, and this juice allowed you to go into a different zone and use that juice to do things that were fun. However, if you made a new character, your juice was locked on this other character. So then, if you ever wanted to do that fun stuff, you realistically had to be playing this other guy. In Escape and Horde, I feel like I want to do the harder difficulties, but my other characters that I haven't played are not high enough rank, and I don't have the cards, and it becomes very difficult to motivate yourself to go and play an easier difficulty to rank up your characters. Now, this double XP weekend might help some of you. However, I just dislike the idea that I just dislike class-based ideas because in theory they sound cool, but all that ends up happening is if you get to rank 16 on Lanny or whoever, and you're really enjoying the hard difficulties, it's very then demotivating to go back down to the easy difficulties to rank up and do all that process again, and it becomes very grindy. So yeah, double XP helps with it, but I think if I was to be critical, they're helping an issue that they've helped create. So Versus, it's back. For 1 week only, Nasher Only King of the Hill is added as our featured playlist. This is a fan favourite. Alright, I'm just going to be honest with you, which I guess some people won't realise. I hate Nasher Only playlists. They're boring. So it sounds like I hate Lancers and all this. I don't actually. Like I say in my videos, I've explained all this. I've Lancered since game battles in Gears 1 in 2006. It's like completely natural and normal to be Lancering and supporting. However, Nasher Only would have been okay in Gears 1 because the battles were fun. When we talk about Nasher Only in Gears 5, it just won't be as fun. For this, let's get the paint out, okay? Because I think we could do a quick diagram here. All right, let's get the paint diagram out. We've had a few people talk about Gib range and I one-shot him. I've seen streamers and big people talk about I one-shot him, he one-shot me. This is bullshit. I should have killed him. I need a bigger Gib range. Let me explain why a bigger Gib range doesn't actually work. So here we have our map, and here we have our two players. We've got a player here and a player here, right? These are our two players. And this is like a line in the middle, right? Let's say. So it looks like we're playing Pong, but this is a line in the middle. Now, each person has got a little Nasher, right? Each person's got a little Nasher. Sticking the Nasher out, okay? So, the game of Gears of War is trying to kill the other guy, right? And you have a Nasher, and you're trying to outsmart the person. There might be a little block of cover here, some cover here. Alright, and we're going to attack, okay? Now, this person has a mental ability to know the Gib range. Let's say the Gib range is this, right? And let's say, again, the Gib range is this. Okay, so this line here, this is the Gib range, the one-shot range. Now, this person, because he's played a lot of Gears of War, he knows where he has to be to shoot this person. So the person goes around the map, they try and navigate the map, and they get up close. And then they get to this situation here, where he thinks, right, I'm in Gib range, and they both come together and they shoot. This player has ever so slightly misjudged the range. This player gets absolutely lit. He gets lit up, right? He gets lit up. He's full red. He's bleeding. But he's not dead. He then, the less skilled player, realizes, damn, I've been shot. I better retaliate. And then he just moves in. And he just, because, remember this, there's cadence in the game, meaning you can't just permanently shoot. This isn't an automatic gun, right? So, he's been shot. He's fully lit up, right? He's fully lit up. And he then goes, oh shit. He knows he can walk into range without being shot back. That's what he can do. Because there is a certain amount of time it takes to shoot a gun. So then he steps in and blows this guy away. And that's kind of what the battle is, right? Trying to dance that Gib range. Now, people seem to think the idea is make the Gib range bigger. Because then this awkward, I misjudged, doesn't become an issue. Wrong. It actually makes the issue no different. Let's change the Gib range, right? Let's make the Gib range, I don't know. Let's make it, let's do it red. Let's make the Gib range this, right? This is now the Gib range of the two players. So what's changed? Well, nothing. You're still going to have that dance. I've slightly misjudged it. And then this player goes, nice, I've tanked it. Then he steps in and blows this guy away and he's off the map, right? Changing the Gib range doesn't mean anything. So if changing the Gib range to be bigger doesn't mean anything, well, what can we do? Well, this is where Gears of War got it right. Gears of War 1 got it right because the gib range was a lot smaller. It was like this. It was almost connected to their body, in a sense. And what this meant was the dance became very different. All of a sudden, the dance was ever so slightly different. You had to be a lot closer to the person, right? But in Gears 5, this still wouldn't function, because in Gears 5, the shotgun is so strong, you can two-shot somebody. So if we then solved the problem via making the gib range smaller, what would happen is this. The player would come in, he'd go for the one shot, he'd go for the spectacular one shot, he'd slightly misjudge the range, like this, and then this guy would shoot. And so doing that doesn't really solve the issue. So what Gears 1 did was it had high fall-off damage, right? So your shotgun would kind of, let's say this, it would be pretty, let's do blue, okay? It would be pretty strong in like this range, okay? These are obviously made up values, but you know, it'd be pretty strong to like this range. After this sort of range here, after this sort of range, it would fall off and it would start to do nothing, right? So I know this is kind of a weird diagram, but bear with me. So what would happen is players were still always trying to get in the gib range, right? However, what happened was you would be in this situation where when you misjudged the gib range, you could roll back, and because this guy's shotgun wasn't an absolute cannon, you could have these dances back and forth of making people miss and moving, and all these shots would be going on and adding up. But because the fall-off damage was very high, if this player was not literally at the green marker, he'd be taking no damage. So there'd be all this dancing and all this shooting going on, and then eventually somebody would think, fuck this, I'm going in, and he would just cover bust and steam in for the one shot. In Gears 5, the range is so absolutely enormous that even if you were to shrink the actual distance that the gun blows somebody up, it doesn't function because the range is like enormous. The range is like this. So if you shrank the distance in Gears 5, if my dog would just stop barking for like 2 seconds, I'm going to have to go sort it. All that the player does is just go one shot, two shot, and then this player is downed, and he doesn't get to have fun. So for me, what's ended up happening is there is just this crazy... There is this crazy idea that shotgun Nasher only and Nasher players love the Nasher only. It's not. I actually really dislike the Gears 5 Nasher, because all that ends up happening is there isn't any cool dancing, there isn't anything. It's just a guy just with a cannon going 1, 2, and he's just two-shotting everybody down. Jesus, man. So yeah, you know, I don't find Nasher battles actually interesting at all in Gears. Next, we've got bonus events. Double stars were broken, so they're still continuing it on Saturday. There was some issues, and they'll be rolling out the stars you missed on Saturday that you should have got. There'll be new supplies, classic JD, Nasher, retro, a Lancer skin, a cap, a sledgehammer for a mark, some new shit in the shop which I will not be promoting because a shop is cancerous, and there'll be ongoing work. So there we have it. That is the patch note rundown. Very, very long, but I don't feel like anybody does these in huge detail, so I thought I'd be that guy that does it in huge detail. So if you like this type of video, let me know with a comment and a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll just stop doing them because they do take a little bit of time. And obviously there are much bigger YouTubers that just read the patch notes and go, this looks great, ta-ra, 5-minute video, we're done. But I'd rather give my own thoughts, give some help for the developers and such. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know with a thumbs up. If not, comment why you dislike it or whatever. If we do some quick promotion, if we head over to my channel, there is some new content that I would love you to check out. I've recently just made a Gears 5 montage, 10 minutes long of absolute quins, quads, snipes, etc. So if you wanna check out that video, then let me know. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy montages and stuff, so if you want to see that video, let me know. It's there on my channel. Other things that I've been doing, just some random waffles about Gears of War 5, and as always, the previous title update got like 1.5k views, so thank you for that. And then there's all my Path of Exile videos. So thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.